Global Book Network. I'm Zach Feldman. Thanks so much for tuning in here on globalbooknetwork.tv and on our YouTube channel at Global Book Network. Joining us over the phone is an author. She has a new book out called Rebecca's Soliloquy, A True Story. It is Roberta Nee Adams. Roberta, thanks so much for joining me here on Global Book Network. How's everything going?
Everything's going very well, Zach. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, tell me all about Rebecca's Soliloquy.
Okay, well, this is a true story from the Civil War. My late mother-in-law told me about the story, and it's concerning her great-grandparents.
Hmm.
And they lived in West Tennessee in Obion County. There was Augustus Moffett and his brother Charles, and both of them joined the Confederacy when the war started. And that left Rebecca, Augustus' wife, home on the farm to hold things down there while he's gone fighting. And one day she finds a wounded Yankee officer on the farm. She nurses him back to health
Wow.
and she's very ambiguous about that, but she does nurse him back to health. A little later on, her husband is wounded and captured and taken prisoner, and he's taken to a prison camp in St. Louis, which is 250 miles north on the Mississippi River.
Wow, that's
So,
incredible.
yes, hearing about that, the Yankee soldier that she nursed back to health writes her passes to go get her husband out of prison camp and bring him home. And she leaves the farm in Obion County with an old colored couple who had been former slaves on the farm, an old horse and a two-wheeled dog cart, and they walk to St. Louis and get him out of prison camp and bring him home.
That's incredible. And it's such a powerful story too. Checking out the book too, it was such a thrill to read it and check out the idea behind it too. Like, just how did you find out the research too? Because like obviously, this is like a living legend in your family. But how
Yeah.
did you find out all the details?
Well, that was the bare bones of the story I was told. So when I wrote it, and it captivated me from the beginning, I knew one day I would write it, and I did. I told the story. I started off in the present day, and then I go back, and the story unfolds through letters that the woman that's living in the house presently finds. And through the letters, the story is told. I had to fill in the blanks, so to speak, kind of connect the dots on how all this might have come about. So that is, I drew from my imagination. I did go into the Library of Congress and I found a map that
Oh
was made
wow.
in 1864. And I printed it out in 4x4 pieces, and I put all those together like a puzzle so I could map out where they might have gone, how far they might have traveled in a day's time, the cities they passed through, the Union forts they passed, and that kind of thing. And
Wow.
then I just put together the story.
And just, pieced it together by piecemeal in a sense.
Yes, yes.
Wow. That's
I
incredible.
had to imagine what they might have encountered on their trip, um, and the hardships and her personal feelings, which she's writing out to her husband in letters. She writes these letters as a way to feel close to her husband even while he's gone, even though she doesn't send the letters.
Oh man. That's so sad. How are you related to Rebecca?
My late mother-in-law was Rebecca and Augustus' great granddaughter.
Wow,
So
that's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
And obviously doing that research, have you ever done like one of those like ancestry trees?
Yes. Well, my sister is a genealogist who has done a tremendous amount of work with our family trees, but on both our parents' side. And she helped me with the research and tracking these people down. So it's been wonderful. And since I had the first edition printed, as a matter of fact, just
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, she found online pictures of Rebecca and Augustus, and
Wow.
the house they lived in Obion County, and also found a piece from the St. Louis Globe Democrat that was detailing Augustus' release from the prison.
Wow.
So
That's
that,
incredible.
yes, it was
So in this new
amazing.
reprint, we'll get those photos, right?
Yes, the
Yeah.
photos are in the reprint as well as that little newspaper clipping. And I've added a few notes in with
That's
that as
incredible.
well.
I
Yes,
mean, when you saw those photos for the first time, what was going through your mind?
I was astounded. He looked, now the photos were done when they were a little bit older.
Hmm.
And I did take some literary license with the story. Um, Rebecca did get ill on the trip and never recovered, but she did live longer than I had it in the book.
Hmm.
But she lived a few years after they got back. But
So kind of fact checked what you what you originally wrote.
yes, yes,
But
and
a
I
good
do.
fact check because you got a photo out of it.
Right, right, and I did get pictures of their gravestones as well.
Wow.
I found those in Troy, Tennessee.
Now,
So,
did you ever make the attempt to go visit?
yes, yes, I've been to Troy. I was just a month ago at the bicentennial celebration of Troy. So that was very interesting.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really,
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah,
I mean, there's so much history that goes throughout this book too about, the Civil War, about like, slavery too, and
yeah,
just really encapsulating on that history too. What got you
yeah.
so like interested in that time period though?
I have always related to that time period. Even when I was a kid, I used to say I was born 100 years too late. But now one thing my sister found
Yeah.
through census records, back at that time, if a family had slaves, their slaves were counted in the census. So Augustus owned a 300 plus acre farm. He did not farm that by himself. But in the 1860 census, he had no slaves. So I don't know what kind of arrangement he might have made, whether it was like tenant farming or whether he just, paid his labor. But, that the slaves that were left there that didn't leave uh, were there of their own volition. So
Wow, that's crazy. What do you think that is?
that's a good question since he fought for the Confederacy. Um, I just think it evidently was the kind of people that they were.
Yeah.
Um, and that was my take in writing the book and Rebecca's feelings.
They were kind of progressive, I guess, for their time then, in a
Yes, I
sense.
think so. I think so.
Yeah. Looking back,
Otherwise, if they weren't, why would she have helped a Yankee soldier, a Yankee
yeah,
officer? You
exactly.
know?
They had
Yeah.
a better mindset than most of the country back then, in
Right.
a sense,
Well,
when it came to that.
one of the points I wanted to make in the book from that story
Mhm.
is that was perhaps, probably, I'm sure, the most divisive time our country's ever been through. But yet, one on one and face to face, it's different.
Hmm.
On the battlefield, these guys would have tried to kill each other, but one on one, face to face, it's personal. And, right now the country's in a very divisive time, but we need to take a step back and realize that we have many, many more commonalities than we have differences.
Yeah, we do.
So,
And
yeah,
and not only that too, we have opinions that are different, but we if we come together and kind of use those opinions together, we can definitely build something even more astounding too.
exactly.
But obviously thinking about, the history from 150 years later, from this book, I mean, we're coming up on like I don't know, not the anniversary, but just like, a long, like pretty close to it. I mean, what are you thinking about, when kind of that time comes by?
Uh, I think her story is still relatable. I think it's still inspiring, and I think it's still relevant.
Yeah, 100%, and it really is, and it shows how it is in this book too. You know, before you go, I want to ask you too. You know, who's one character besides obviously Rebecca you kind of relate to from this from doing your research? Is there any
Um,
that stand out to you?
I relate to Belle,
Yeah.
the former slave woman that um, Joseph and Belle was. They were an older colored couple that went on the trip with Rebecca, and for them to volunteer to do that, it was very much a family dynamic that they had, and I think that would have had to have been for the story to have happened the way it happened. And I just picture her as uh, very motherly, very protective, and very smart.
Yeah, I do too as well. I mean, they were both, you know, brilliant people during
Yes,
their time too. And
yes.
for them to do what they did was so commemorable too. And it's so cool that you were able to capture that and idolize that into this big story. You know, before you go, I want to ask you too, did you ever reach out to the soldier's family that they saved?
No, because I never got his name. I don't
Oh
know
man.
who it was. I don't know that story. Um, but well, one interesting thing about the book, the director Ron Maxwell, who directed Gettysburg,
Hmm.
Gods and Generals,
Yep.
Copperheads,
Very famous director.
yes, he read the book.
Wow.
And he told me two things. He told me one, he said, I was well into the book before I realized those letters were not authentic. And then he said if he were directing the movie, he wouldn't change a thing because he knew it to be authentic to the times. So I took that as two very nice compliments. So, and also, there's a story within the story about a bonnet box.
Hmm.
And this bonnet box was made in Nashville, Tennessee at the federal prison. And at that prison was a cousin of the two Moffat men in Troy. And he joined the Union, but he had come south from Massachusetts and married a Southern girl from a prominent family in Nashville and swore he would not bear arms against either side.
Hmm.
So he was a guard at the federal prison in Nashville where they kept the prisoners of war. And he befriended a Southern prisoner of war. And this Southern prisoner made him a bonnet box that is, it's made out of yellow poplar. It's covered with black leather because at the federal prison, the prisoners made boots for the Union Army.
Wow.
They slaughtered the cattle, they tanned the hides, they made the shoes. And this Union guard was over the shoe shop because he had been a shoemaker prior to getting into the army.
Wow.
So
That's insane.
that's another thing of one-on-one and face-to-face things being different, a Union guard and a Southern prisoner.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
just changing up the history books a little bit of just, you know, like literally just like the idea behind like in this at this time when the country is so divided,
Yes,
for them to be so close is
yes,
just is incredible. And it's kind of a very rare story to hear about for that time period too. And it's really cool that you were able to capture that in this book, Rebecca's Soliloquy. I'm
yes.
really
And
excited for people to check out the book too.
I
Um,
have I have that bonnet box in my possession.
Oh wow, that's incredible! And
Yes.
what does it look like? What give you some ideas?
Well, it's probably about 14, 15 inches wide, um, maybe 9 inches deep, 9 inches high, and it's got a hinged lid and it's covered in black leather
Mhm.
and decorated with carved cow bone.
Wow.
And it has a sunburst on the top. It's
Hmm.
got sawtooth edging all around it.
Yeah,
It's got a heart on the front, and it's got the Oddfellow Lodge symbol, the three connecting circles,
yeah.
because the guard was a member of the Oddfellows Lodge. And it's just it's beautiful. It's
Wow.
absolutely, The inside is covered in velvet and has a mirror on the lid. So,
Super high quality stuff for back then.
amazing, amazing. Yeah.
Damn, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited for people to check out the book. Again, it's called Rebecca's Soliloquy. Roberta, where can people find it? Where can people find you online too?
My website is being developed now. It's robertaneeadams.com. The book will be on Amazon. You can
And
order
everywhere
it
else books are sold,
online.
basically.
Yes, yeah, where you find every book.
Yeah.
And the new edition will be done. It should be completed probably around the 1st of December.
That's incredible. Well, I'm really excited for people to check out that book, and especially the new deluxe version.
Yes,
Because
yes,
honestly, that is really where the highlight is with that photo. And finally
absolutely.
being able to get a kind of an idea of who these people are and seeing them for
Yeah.
the first time is going to be insane. Rebecca,
Right.
let me ask you too, Roberta. Is there anything else that you're working on now? Like, you think you're going to ever take this into a different perspective?
Well, my sister and I are collaborating on doing some research on the prison guard and that story, because I think that would make an amazing story as well.
Yeah, that would
So,
be really cool. That would
yeah.
be really, really cool. So
Yes,
that'd be
and
nice.
I have a clipping from his and his wife's, a newspaper clipping from his and his wife 50th anniversary
Mhm.
celebration. So I think hopefully I could find more material on him and his family, since they were a prominent family.
I hope so too. That'd be really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
Well, Roberta, excuse me, Roberta Nee, Roberta Nee Adams. Thank you so much for joining me here on Global Book Network, and best of luck with everything, and best of luck with Rebecca's Soliloquy.
Okay. Thank you, Zach.
No problem. Anytime. You've been watching globalbooknetwork.tv here on Global Book Network's website at globalbooknetwork.tv and on YouTube at youtube.com/globalbooknetwork. We'll check out all the interviews that we have here, and we'll see you next time on another author interview. Thanks again for joining us here.